July 20th meeting of the Portland City Council. Would you please call the roll?
Saltzman,
Here.
Novick,
Here.
Fritz, Fish,
Here.
Hales.
Here. Welcome, everyone. Looks like we have a relatively light attendance and a relatively light council calendar this morning. If you're here to speak on a calendar item, let our clerk know, and she will make sure you are signed up. As always, we practice the rules of decorum in this room, so interruptions and demonstrations are not acceptable. And so if you want to agree with a fellow citizen's point of view, feel free to give them a thumbs up or a polite wave of the hand. If you disagree, a polite hand gesture to the contrary is okay, but we ask that we not make vocal demonstrations in favor or in opposition to our fellow citizens' points of view. We make exceptions and provide applause to school children and visiting dignitaries, so if you're one or more of those things, you might get a round of applause. Or if you're Lisa Kane and you just come back from a great trip and you're back to council for the first time, you might get one too. So welcome, everyone. I want to just start out by commending Commissioner Novick and Peabot for a great launch of our city bike share system. He's wearing his orange tie to celebrate because we had a wonderful day yesterday where Commissioner Fish was there as well. It was just a cool event. I don't think you weren't there, but almost the whole council was there, and a whole lot of the community was there, and it's off to a great start. So congratulations.
Thank you. Mayor, I was at having dinner last night in inner Southeast, and there was a steady stream of orange bicycles going along the restaurant road there, which was very cool.
That is cool to see. Yeah, well, a new part of what we'll take for granted in Portland. Thank you, Steve. Okay, with that, let's move to communications items. Before we do that, I don't think we have any requests to take anything off the consent calendar, right? So it's as printed unless there's somebody that pulls something. Okay, let's take communications item 830, please.
Request of Sarah Hobbs to address council regarding American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Portland Out of the Darkness Walk.
Good morning. Good morning, welcome.
For the record, my name is Sarah Hobbs. October 1st of this year, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention will be having their Out of the Darkness Walk at Memorial Coliseum. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is a national non-governmental organization that, as you can see, is dedicated to suicide prevention research, advocacy on both the state and national level for suicide prevention research. They were a big lobbyist for the recent passage of the mental health bill that just made its way through Congress. As we painfully realized that Oregon, out of 50 states, is number 10 for its high rate of suicide, and out of all the cities in the United States, Portland is number 17. I personally believe that the work that the foundation is doing, both nationally and here through the Oregon chapter, has become very vital. I am happy to say we have the Portland Police Bureau's Behavioral Health Unit will be joining us in the walk, and I would love to see each and every one of you there as well. What is going to be important in pushing the issues of suicide prevention forward is strength in numbers and people willing to go on record and commit, saying, yes, we've got this problem, but we want to be part of the solution as well. I ask, as I already been made aware, that Commissioner Fritz will not be in town on the 1st of October, that if you can't attend, please have one of your staffers call, let me know. I'd appreciate that. I'd really be excited to hear from either yourselves or one of your staffers that you will be joining us. And as well, I don't know if you in your offices, if you have break rooms, pegboards, somewhere where you can put this information up. But if you do, please post it and please pass the word. When I'm done here, I am going to read the current Department of Veterans Affairs suicide report. That is an issue that as well is going from bad to worse. So we really need to come together and address this. So, I look forward to hearing from you, and I really look forward to seeing you all on October 1st.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. We'll check it out. And appreciate your work on this issue. It's huge for our country, but here too. We lose more Portlanders to suicide than homicide and automobile deaths together.
That's a good point. Nationwide, 2/3 of all gun deaths in this nation are suicide. So it is a very huge public health issue.
Yeah.
So, and I want to briefly mention something, Mayor, that I heard you say at the press conference when you announced then Captain Marshman's appointment to Chief of Police, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you get phone calls 24/7 when extremely high-risk suicide. The police are responding to extremely high-risk suicide crisis calls, and that you also, as well, are constantly getting the reports from the other calls.
right.
So I sense you more than anybody from first responder reports are seeing what is
Oh, yeah.
happening.
It's amazing the work they're doing in terms of the behavioral health unit. I mean, we had 2 people on the Fremont Bridge the other day for 8 hours
Yes,
talking
I
someone
heard
off
about
the
that.
bridge. And so they're not successful every time in preventing a suicide, but they are successful almost every other day.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular, the work that they're doing. So I appreciate it. I'm glad you noticed the BHU's good work, and I'm glad they're going to be participating in the walk. They should be there.
Let's get the things in place so we can stop the suicides before they get to that crisis point. That we
Yeah.
have officers 8 hours on the bridge trying to talk people down.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your work. Thank you both. Thanks. Okay, let's move on to 831, please.
Request of Nancy Schultz to address council regarding Vancouver proposed oil terminal and transport of oil by rail. She has an emergency come up and is not able to make it.
Okay, and then let's skip 832 for a moment and take the other two, because I understand Ms. Doherty's running late. Oh, she is here. Okay, all right, so let's take 832, please.
Request of Aletha Bonner Doherty to address council regarding homelessness, closing the revolving door, a new approach.
Come on up. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody today?
Just fine. Nice to have you here. Welcome.
Okay, I got 3 minutes and I'm counting.
All right, well, we'll count. But you go right ahead.
I was homeless. I may not look like that person. And I didn't dress. I didn't wear the uniform. You know, I still had to get up, leave the place by 6:37, find something to do. So I went to Diddy's and bought a nursing outfit and some clogs from Payless. So I looked like and felt like I had someplace to go. They even stole my parcel when I went to the hospital. And the first thing they had on my chart was shortness of breath and homelessness. Well, needless to say, they didn't treat either one. I ended up in isolation at Kaiser Hospital in Clackamas, in isolation for 8 days. I've had multiple unrelated cancers. That's my haircut. After a while, it just doesn't grow back. But I'm cancer-free. And I have an idea. It'll save the city money, and we want to do that. It could house, if there's a little hitch in the giddy up, because affordable housing would have to be at the end. But I never was able to hold my head up until I started volunteering. You could literally throw a dead cat, excuse me, cat lovers, anywhere in this city, and you're going to find 5 or 10 places to go get free food. It's not a solution. You guys, I live at the Alder House Apartments, but I'm moving, thank God. I don't need to be in a halfway house or a rehab situation. And basically, they have cameras everywhere but in the bathroom. And it's not a bathroom because your sink is in the other room. And I'm paying. And there's a lot of people using these funds, TPI, Central City Concern, and they're temporary solutions. You got so many businesses right now that need people to volunteer. It made me smile. I was at a tournament the 4th of July weekend at the Edgewater. I volunteered because I can't work. And I feel like, well, I did make a little promise to God. I promised her that I would give something back if she let me get it through the cancer this time. So it was a way of paying the debt, because you know she could get pretty mad when you don't do your part. So I said, let me do it. I wasn't feeling well. I went. Needless to say, I was speaking to somebody that was giving me a ride in the golf cart, and I didn't know that he was assistant district attorney. His first name is Jerry. Spoke to him about my ideas, gave him my card. He gave me his card, and I spoke to him, and he let me speak to his chief, who said that I should come here because it would be a circle of giving. Instead of news, bits about needles and tents, because a lot of those homeless people don't have a place to go. You have people sitting in TPI, transition projects, literally from 7 in the morning till 5, till the night shelter opens back up. Barring any all of them need mental health. I give mental health. I have a college degree. I was a station manager at Bay Area Rapid Transit. I went to school while I was going through council. This one, there's a couple other people in my building that volunteered. That's how I got turned on the Easter seals. So I volunteer with them. There's so many places right now that can't afford to hire people. Some of these people, you would be surprised at the intelligence and the gifts that some of these people have, and they're not being utilized. There's no reason nobody should have to sneak and ride the Max all day, sit at the Lloyd Center when they can be volunteering. It's a way to hold your head up. I haven't smiled in months, and I'm happy.
Oh,
And
thank
I'm
you.
motivated. You get reacclimated to the community. They have Dress for Success. What you guys are doing now is not working because they get in these places like Alder House, and you get somebody with a swell head, and they put you in a cycle, and then I literally told somebody last week, you got 24 hours to get out. First of all, it's not legal. Second of all, state law supersedes any lease. A lot of people equate homelessness with a lack of intelligence, and they're so wrong. And they have all these people you hear on the news every day. They can't afford to hire anybody, but we got volunteers.
That's a
And the
great
same
idea.
people that sponsored this golf tournament have fed me.
That's great.
So I was giving, it's like completing this circle of giving. And I'm telling you, it will save money. You look at any institution, people get out of prison. Some people lucky enough to find mentors, and they basically, my grandson, my oldest grandchild, he wrote this thing about me when I was going through cancer, talking about how he saw me run across a 4-lane highway to feed a homeless person. Because a homeless person don't need food. Don't need money. They need food. Now my grandson, everything I've been through, he said, what can I do? I said, you can graduate. Because of that influence, they might go in kicking and screaming, but they're going to reap the benefits. My mother used to make us go to the convalescent home after church and read to people and visit people. That's what gives you character.
Hey,
That's
thank you.
why I was able to survive this.
Thank you very much. I
And I
appreciate
just want
that.
to say that there's a way to save money and to do it. They all need mental health. We already provide that service. And if they don't do it, guess what? They don't get to reap all the benefits. Free rent for 2 years and a bus pass? Well, you need some place to go with it.
Thank you. Hey, you take care. Appreciate that very much.
I gotta go
Thank
home.
you.
My asthma's killing me.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Thanks so much. That's very helpful. Let's take 833, please.
Request of Matthew Sanders to address council regarding passing ordinances to put limits on door-to-door solicitors. He has to reschedule.
Oh, all right. And then 834?
Request of Meg Hansen to address council regarding action on demolition permits issued for historic resources in violation of OAR 660-023-02009.
Ms. Hanson? You here? Oh, okay. Well, we've had some folks have a hard time getting here this morning. All right. We'll reschedule those as you can. Let's take action on the consent calendar. And again, nothing to be withdrawn. Then let's take a vote on the consent calendar as printed, please.
Aye.
Novick,
Aye.
Fish,
Aye.
Hales.
Aye. Okay. Regular items, 843.
Accept and appropriate a grant in the amount of $35,700 from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality to support deconstruction of workforce training and authorize an intergovernmental agreement.
Well, welcome back, Elisa. Nice to have you back here and to talk about this next step in Portland's path-breaking work on deconstructing rather than demolition wherever possible. So
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Commissioners. I am Elisa Kane, the Green Building Manager with the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. And today I'm here to ask for your approval to enter into an intergovernment agreement with Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ. This grant will allow us to host a workforce training to help support this groundbreaking policy that you passed about 3 weeks ago that requires all homes that are going to be removed that are older than 100 years old or built before 1916 or a designated historic resource must use deconstruction. And through that policy development process, we heard from the industry that we really need to have training in place, both for certified construction firms and for the workforce. Yesterday, I was out at a site where we were removing a house, and there was a 3-day training going on for contracting firms, and there were 11 that were present, so 11 will be certified to do that work, 9 of which came from the city's prime contractor development program. So it's a great feed in. This next phase is what this grant will support, will help us attract workforce, so people who can go out and day-to-day be pulling buildings down safely, carefully, and to maximize the reuse of the materials. We anticipate a 12-day training, that this grant will cover a 12-day training. It'll cover the curriculum and the trainer. And also we will be working with our community referral partners, such as Oregon Tradeswomen, Constructing Hope, to attract participants, as well as through the city's prime contractor development program. So it's a great opportunity for us to really advance our training in a timely manner. This training will happen in October.
That's great. Questions?
Just a comment, Mayor. Loosely, and this is loosely related to the topic, so you may rule me out of order. But I think this is a very timely conversation. We have, as a city, said that deconstruction is going to be a mandate. As a city, we've said that we're going to participate in clean energy works and help people retrofit their homes to make them more energy efficient. This morning I read an editorial in the Oregonian which raised a very interesting and provocative question, which was, in a city in which we deliver water that is lead-free to 1 million people, but where we know that there are some properties that have crummy pipes and fixtures, what is our collective responsibility to help people remove the crummy pipes and fixtures so that once and for all they are put beyond any risk of having lead, other than things like lead paint and the like? And I think that's worthy of a conversation at council in the fall, because it actually gets at the problem. Instead of solving a problem and overcorrecting for 1 million people, it says, look to where the problem is and let's fix the problem forever. We've innovated, we've come up with an innovative solution on deconstruction. We've helped homeowners finance energy upgrades. Why not tackle this as the next big challenge, figure out a way to help people replace the plumbing so that once and for all lead is not an issue in their homes? Because after all, that is the only way we know of to get the lead risk down to something close to zero. We can tinker with our water all we want, but we can't compensate for a really bad pipe and a really bad fixture. So I just put this out there because I thought the editorial raised an interesting question, and I'd like to get the feedback from my colleagues, and then in the fall we'll do a work session and talk about this at a bigger level.
Good idea. Good. Thank you. Other questions, comments for Lisa? Thank you very much. Anyone want to speak on this item? If not, then it's an emergency ordinance. Let's take a vote.
Saltzman,
Well, it's very impressive how this program is coming together and how you're providing opportunities for minority prime contractors and the workforce that goes with it to deconstruct homes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Novik,
Glad you have so many contractors engaging at this stage. Thank you. Aye.
Fish.
Welcome back, and we're no longer approving any vacation requests for you or your spouse. Aye.
Thank you.
Hales.
Well, you know, we've gone from an environment where a few years ago, the members of the one of the local business organizations were all running around with pins that said jobs because the theory was we were way behind in creating jobs in Portland. Well, now we have unemployment under 4% and a lot of people struggling to find employees. And so connecting people who aren't yet benefiting from that huge overall improvement to workforce opportunities is a great idea. And now we're in effect creating a new business niche in our economic structure. So I think filling in this piece of the puzzle, how do we make sure they're the people to do the work for the contractors that are qualified to do it so that we carefully deconstruct a few houses rather than demolish a lot of them? That's an important piece. I'm glad we've got that in place. Thank you for your work on this, and Sean and the rest of the team at BPS. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 8:44. We're going to reschedule that, but why don't you read it?
Authorize an intergovernmental agreement with Metro for regional illegal dumping patrol services.
And this is being rescheduled, if there's no objection, for July 27th, 8:45.
Accept bid of Tice Electric Company for the 2015 traffic signal rebuild, rebid for $1,009,904.
We may have gotten ahead of the purchasing office this morning. I don't know if you have any comments on this one, Commissioner Novick, but we're just accepting the bid for work that we've already authorized. So anyone want to speak on this item this morning?
Mayor, just will note that the MWESB participation on this is over 70%.
Oh, I hadn't seen that. That's
So,
great.
why Amanda Fritz had to choose this week to be on vacation.
Yeah, well, she can praise you from a distance, Steve, so that's good work. Okay, any further discussion? Motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Novick?
Aye.
Fish?
Aye.
Hales?
Aye. Okay, 8:46.
Accept bid of FD Thomas, Inc. for the Smart Park and North Precinct Repair and Recoding Project for $1,095,093.
Again, any comments here? Anyone want to speak on this item? Motion to adopt the report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Novick?
Aye.
Fish?
I think, Mayor, it's worth celebrating that the original construction estimate was 1.5 million, and the bid amount was just under 1.1 million. And so that's good news for our taxpayers. Aye.
Hales?
Yeah, that's right. That usually is going the other way more often lately. That's nice. Thank you. Aye. 8:47.
Accept bid of R&R General Contractors for the East Burnside Street safety improvements for $1,431,704.
Important work. Any questions on this one? Anyone want to speak on this item? Motion to adopt the report?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Roll call.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Novick?
Aye.
Fish?
Aye.
Hales?
Aye. And 8:48.
Accept bid of Kodiak Pacific Construction for Southwest Oak Street to Southwest Nato Parkway to Southwest 10th Avenue for $954,954.
Anyone want to speak on this one? And a motion, please.
Move adoption of the procurement report.
Second.
Roll call.
Fish?
Aye. Oh, wait,
I'm sorry,
You
Saltzman?
getting me? Saltzman, aye.
we get confused a lot.
Novick?
Aye.
Fish?
Aye.
Hales?
Aye. Okay, 8:49.
Authorize a competitive solicitation and contract with the lowest responsible bidder for construction of the Lentz Park Play Area Improvements Project.
Had a great presentation on this last week. This is our second reading. Roll call vote, please.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Novick?
Aye.
Fish?
I just want to acknowledge, colleagues, that yesterday, Peabot and Nike launched Bike Share, and Lentz Park is where the founder of Nike got his first job working for the city of Portland. Something we try to remind him from time to time
Yeah.
as issues of East Portland parks come up, but that's where Phil Knight got his first gig. Aye.
Hales?
Sounds like another sponsorship opportunity to me. Aye. Okay, 8:50.
Authorize a multi-year intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County for vector control services for an estimated annual amount of $277,000.
Mr. Fish.
Thank you, colleagues. This As stated, this would authorize a multi-year intergovernmental agreement for vector control. And as you know, vector control is a fancy word for addressing things like rat complaints in the sewer system and to treat our stormwater facilities for mosquitoes. Multnomah County has been providing these services to the city for at least 50 years through interagency agreements. This ordinance would authorize a new IGA with Multnomah County Vector Control for the next 5 years. I'm pleased to introduce Joe Dvorak and Chris Worth from Multnomah. Joe is with BES, Chris is with Multnomah County for a brief presentation. Gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, Mayor, members of council. For the record, I'm Joe Dvorak with the Bureau of Environmental Services and Chris Worth to my left from Multnomah County. So we're here to talk about vector control real quick. So what exactly is a vector? A vector is anything, an organism that can carry disease to human beings. So within BES's sewer and stormwater system, rats and mosquitoes are the two most common. So unfortunately, rats do live in the sewer system. That's not an urban myth, as evidenced by the token photograph of the rat in the pipe. So unfortunately, these rats are in the sewer and they can leave from street inlets in our combined system and service branches up into people's homes and businesses. In addition to the sewer system, BES owns over 180 stormwater facilities which detain water, and where there's standing water, there's mosquitoes. So why contract with the county? As Commissioner Fish mentioned, we've been contracting with Multnomah County for health services since 1968, and BES specifically for vector control through these multi-year IGAs. So after Chris tells you a little bit about the program highlights, I'll tell you what's new with this IGA, and then we'll leave any opportunity for questions. Chris?
Great, thank you. So council, again, my name is Chris Worth. I'm from Multnomah County Health Department, and thank you for this opportunity, Mayor Hales and City Council. Just some brief background. So we're, Multnomah County Health Department Vector Control is positioned and primed to do this work. We get our authority statewide through Oregon Revised Statute 452, and that really gives us the ability to go onto all lands and to do abatement, control, and surveillance of vectors like mosquitoes, rats, et cetera. We're also highly regulated. We're regulated by numerous agencies, including Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, Oregon Health Authority, the Oregon State Health Division, Oregon Department of Ag, and DEQ, and then sort of a higher level up, which is also EPA. There's sort of three components that I just wanted to highlight with you today. So we have it's really an educational-based rodent control program. So any constituent can call up, they can say they're having a rat problem at their business or home. We go out, we provide an inspection, and really the purpose of that inspection is designed to pinpoint why they're having a rat problem. There's usually about 3 issues, and to get them to do some of those behavior changes and things that will change. So ideally, they won't have a rat problem in the future. And then we might provide some rodent control materials simultaneously. The mosquito control and surveillance program, we do about thousands of acres of control work throughout Multnomah County annually. We have an integrated mosquito control program, and what that really means is it's sort of a multi-tiered approach, and this is sort of like a best management practices for doing mosquito control and surveying not only for mosquito species, but also mosquito-borne disease. And you probably, to most people, a mosquito is a mosquito, but little fun fact, we have about 25 species of mosquito present in Multnomah County, and about 7 of those have a potential public health threat. We also provide all sorts of educational opportunities for our citizen base. Some examples are Fix-It Fair programs where people come up and they sort of get that one-on-one with our rodent inspector to learn how to, seal up open pipes, and if you have a shallow foundation and things like that, and it's a really good opportunity. We also do lots of public outreach with our entire community. In fact, coming up soon, I'll be doing a Zika virus presentation that's an emerging mosquito-borne disease with our Southeast Portland-based Slavic community. So that'll be something interesting to look forward to. And then, of course, we're always looking for emerging issues, and I did just mention Zika, and so in Oregon and Washington, we're kind of lucky. We don't have the primary vector or the mosquito species that's able to currently vector it. But as things progress in the United States over time, we suspect that there'll be more species, likely some that are here, that will be able to transmit the disease. So that's something that we're continuing to monitor. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I heard this morning that they think the first mosquito-borne transmission in the United States just might have occurred in Miami-Dade County, obviously different climate, or at least it used to be different. Therefore, we may be dealing with that now, not on a theoretical level in the United States.
Yeah, very similar to West Nile virus, where you see sort of an onslaught of disease, and as it moves into like a northern climate, there's going to be different opportunities. So it's interesting also, you also see the mosquito species in the ones that can vector the disease in Northern California. So there's a lot of emphasis looking at Southern Oregon and then watching that progress up the valley.
You know, colleagues, this is an example of yet another relationship we have with the county where they're a key partner in achieving goals that we've set out. The county does the outreach for our low-income discount program with our utilities. The county health department tests children to determine whether they have elevated levels of lead, done 15,000 tests in the last 3 years. And we also rely on the county to do vector control. And we're very proud of the partnership, particularly with the health department and the good work that we get in return. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
What are the three conditions that lead to have a rat problem?
It's basically food, shelter, water. So we're blessed with all those fruit and nut trees throughout Portland, great food source, but if you don't pick them up, that's rat food. And of course, wild animal feeding, bird feeding, pet food feeding. And shelter can really be anything. Overgrown ivy. There was a lot of work, for example, done down on Waterfront Park. There used to be the big ivy fields, and before those were removed and managed by Portland Parks and Rec a little bit better, you would often see big rat communities underneath them. So just some examples of that.
Other questions? Steve?
That random tangent. At some point in the past year, Metro had advertising of the TriMet buses saying, "How do I get rid of the ants without killing my dog? Ask Metro." And I proceeded to ask every Metro councilor, what is the answer to that question? And none of them had the answer. But it leaves you wondering, why is there a division of responsibility between the counties and Metro about unwanted animals? Do they have ants and you've got rats? Or should they just be staying out of this issue and letting the county handle it?
I don't think I can answer that question either. So, definitely, we're doing our work throughout the countywide. But yeah, I'm still not understanding the correlation on ants and dogs.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Metro
Well,
is.
I think that they were saying, that yes, there are safe ways to get rid of ants without poisoning your dogs, but I was kind of curious why Metro is involved in that because I thought the counties were in charge of unwanted animals.
Well, I'll tell you one thing the county, the Metro does do, and I think we voted on this last week, they pick up debris in some of our bioswales. So when you're at the bus stop and you see that someone has dumped their couch into a bioswale, we actually call Metro and they then cart that away.
That's a good question, though. I'm not sure why they're in that business. Good, fair question. Other questions or comments?
So just a couple more in terms of what's new from the business side of things on the IGA. Reimbursement will be based on actual services performed using a fully burdened hourly rate. We can adjust those rates annually as we proceed through the agreement. In terms of program development, we'll be reporting data and metrics spatially, so on maps, and that's the engineer and me getting excited trying to figure out where we can identify trends with respect to, say, broken sewers and rat reports. And then just a commitment to develop performance measures. How are we performing against last year or the year before? And then how are we benchmarking against other utilities with regard to vector control and just looking to improve efficiency. Finally, with budget and schedule, $277,000 for fiscal year 17. IGA will go into effect immediately if approved and good for 5 years.
So it's an IGA, but this is a little bit like a not-to-exceed contract. They're on
Exactly
call
right.
to you as you need them, and you draw down that amount.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Used to be a fixed amount though, and we're now going to a fee for service and
Yeah.
we'll test that over time to see if we get a better deal.
Good idea. Other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Joe and Chris, thank you both.
Anyone want to speak on this item? Come on up.
You can go ahead, take your seats.
You guys can
Thank you, gentlemen.
give up the dais there. Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Charles Johnson, and I would like to thank you for finally disclosing this secret government program. I only say that because we may remember that things were a little different here in 2012. Of course, you had just getting started, but if you look on the west side window of the auditor's office, you'll see one of the orange camping signs. There used to be a time where, regardless of people whether called this a rat-infested building, people slept in a circle around this building, and the local media had stories about rats that were supposedly illegally imported by Occupy terrorists or something like that. But I hope that a little bit of this conversation that Steve Novick raised, bringing Metro into the picture, will encourage everybody around here, from here to Salem, to think about if it's time for Portland and Multnomah County to grow up. We mentioned Zika in Miami-Dade. We say Miami-Dade because they have a unified government. We wouldn't have to have so many IGAs if we had a unified government. I don't know if any of you have a personal feeling on that, but someday, maybe during the reign of Senator Novick, we'll be able to get there. The rat issue, I don't know. Apparently, it's not in the press anymore, so hopefully these two gentlemen that were up here and their coworkers did something wonderful, and there's been a drastic or total reduction of rats in the Terry Shrunk, or maybe they were seeking federal refuge, I don't know, federal sanctuary. But I'm glad, I've been a frequent participant in City Hall, and in the 3 years since that rat crisis, I'd never heard of this program. So it's good to know that we have documents on the PDF going back to 1968. Whoever did the electronic submission for this deserves kudos for going back and finding the 1968 Intergovernmental Agreement. So too bad for the rats. Hopefully they won't be around to complain about it for long.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Anyone else? Come on up.
Yeah, I'm Shedrick Wilkins about this rats, or last year I had a bed bug problem in my apartment. These things come from the walls. They're in buildings anyway. It almost got me evicted. Watch out for this stuff. And I think the climate here is the rain. There's bushes around here. If you're living in Arizona where there's basically sand or something, things don't crawl around. They don't crawl under the ground. Probably Seattle has a similar problem. In San Francisco where it rains a lot. A lot of these, I don't like the idea of picking on homeless people, saying that they're the ones tracking around or bringing in rats or stuff like that, or terrorism. These things basically come out of buildings. They grow outside. They get rain, they get water, and then they come back in.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Then it's an emergency ordinance. Let's take a vote, please.
Saltzman,
Well, I want to, give a special thanks to Multnomah County for providing a very important service that often goes unnoticed until somebody really has a problem. But vector control is really one of those cornerstones of civilized society. So thank you. Aye.
Novick,
Nice line. That's like you're like paraphrasing Oliver Wendell Holmes. Aye.
Thank you, Joe and Chris. Thank you, Multnomah County Vector Control. And by the way, to both of you, thank you for an excellent presentation. Aye.
Hales.
Aye, thank you. Okay, 851.
Authorize the Bureau of Environmental Services to acquire certain permanent property rights necessary for construction of the Fano Basin Pressure Line System Upgrade Project number E10599 through the exercise of the city's eminent domain authority.
Mr. Fish.
Colleagues, this has a fancy title, but it's a pretty straightforward matter. This ordinance would authorize the Bureau of Environmental Services to acquire property rights for a project to upgrade the Fano Basin Pressure Line System. The system includes two parallel 30-inch steel pressure lines completed in 2010, but one of the lines developed cracks and leaks. This project would repair the line and return it to service, and the condemnation that we are seeking the authority to do here is what's called a friendly condemnation worked out with the property owner. Here to walk us through this is Dan Hebert. Dan?
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Hebert, Senior Engineer with Bureau of Environmental Services and a project manager for a number of Fano Basin projects. In this particular case, we've had a temporary pressure monitoring station at this location, which is at Southwest 69th and Railroad, and our intent is to convert that to a permanent pressure monitoring station with a connection to the fiber optic system so that we can monitor pressures in real time and respond if there is an issue with those. But to do that, we have to require, it's about a 259 square foot piece of property on the northwest corner of a small triangular piece that's sandwiched between Multnomah Boulevard, Southwest 69th, and Southwest Railroad Street, and it's not buildable because of setback requirements at this point. Right-of-way agents with PBOT have been working with the property owner. There was a transfer of this property in the recent past to the owner of the Old Town Pub and Brewery, which is right adjacent to this site. And the title is not recorded quite correctly, and the recommendation and working with the property owners that we proceed through the eminent domain process to gain access to the parcel while they work out the title and uncloud that title.
Questions? Okay, thank you very much. Anyone want to speak on this item? This will pass to second reading next week.
Okay, thank
So
you.
as a former resident of this neighborhood, I can't resist the trivia point, which now Steve, as a resident of this neighborhood, may know. And the reason this is called Southwest Railroad Avenue is that 100 years ago, there was electric interurban rail service between Portland and Beaverton on what we now call Multnomah Boulevard. So what is old is new again, and maybe we'll eventually have trains back on that street too. It passes to second reading next week. 852.
Facilitate implementation of the City Stormwater Management Manual and Source Control Manual.
Second reading, roll call.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Novick.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Hales.
Aye. Okay, and 853 is our final item this morning.
Amend the Fire and Police Disability, Retirement, and Death Benefit Plan in order to comply with arbitration decision regarding reversion of alternate payee benefits to members of the Portland Firefighters Association, Portland Police Association, and Portland Police Commanding Officers Association, and to incorporate the requirements of applicable Oregon revised statutes pertaining to domestic relations orders awarding benefits to the alternate payees.
Good morning. I'll turn this over to Director Hutchison.
Thank you, Commissioners, Mayor. Sam Hutchison, Bureau Director at FPDNR, and with me is Stacy Jones, the Financial Manager of FPDNR. This ordinance, as we stated in the title, amends the Fire, Police, Disability, Retirement, and Death Benefit Plan, which is outlined in Chapter 5 of the City Charter, to comply with arbitration decisions regarding reversion of alternate payee benefits to members of 3 sworn unions, PFFA, the Firefighters Association, Portland Police Association, and Portland Police Command Association, Command Officers Association. The arbitration decisions were fully favorable to all 3 of the unions. And I think, as you remember, in April, the City Council met in an executive session with the FBDR Board of Trustees to discuss the grievances, the complications of the city complying with the arbitration decisions, and the legal issues impacting FPDNR. So a little bit of the background on this is that per Oregon statute, alternate payees who are former spouses are entitled to a portion of an FPDR member's pension through a domestic relations order. In 2009, the FPDR Board of Trustees revoked an earlier board resolution that allowed the reversion of an alternate payee's benefit to the member if the alternate payee predeceases the member. In other words, to make it simple, should a divorced spouse or the alternate payee be receiving a part of the member's pension per the domestic relations order, and that alternate payee dies while the member is still alive, the amount that was going to the ex-spouse will revert back to the member. The 2009, the FPDR board revoked that for various legal reasons and interpretation of the state statute. They felt the passing of that at that time originally was inappropriate and incorrect versus statute. And this is all the stuff that we discussed in the executive session. So to find so FPDNR could not begin paying the revisionary benefit to the impacted PFFA retirees for the legal reasons that I had mentioned. In the meantime, the Fire Bureau had been authorized to pay the reversionary benefit to 3 impacted firefighters, retired firefighters, through July 1 of 2016. So to find a resolution to the situation, the City Council and the FPDR Board of Trustees met in the executive session. During that time, it was discussed or concluded that FPDR could make payments if the City Council passed an ordinance amending the FPDR plan, and the authority for the council to amend the plan when required by law to extend additional benefits is found in Section 5403A of the Charter. So assuming that you approve the ordinance, FPDR will make the next payments to these three impacted retirees. They'll get the reversionary benefit, which is due August 1st, and we'll set up ongoing monthly payments for these retirees until they decease themselves. FPDR will also establish rules for the payment of alternate payee benefits and reversionary benefits to these three retirees and to any future retirees impacted by this similar situation. Should the council not approve the ordinance, there is no entity in the city, not PFN or Portland Fire, nor FPDR could continue making these reversionary benefits. And this could result in an unfair labor practice if we cannot pay those benefits in accordance with the arbitrator's decisions.
Important to remember, you mentioned it in passing, but this affects a very small number of retirees.
Interesting, the history on this is since the state required the alternate payees to be paid in the reversionary benefit, that was 20 years ago in 1994. In that time, we've only had 3 firefighters that have had a alternate payee or their ex-spouse die before they did. And interestingly, that occurred all in the last couple of years. So we went almost 20 years with nobody being impacted. Then we have 3 people suddenly impacted, which brought up the grievances. So it's not going to happen a lot in the future, but it is a benefit that was set up many years ago, was revoked, and per the arbitrator's decisions, we have to reinstate. And the best way to do that is to correct it in the charter versus a board resolution. And that's what we're doing here.
The net effect of this is that we'll just continue paying that portion of the alternate payee benefit, which reverts back to the member for the duration of the member's life.
Yes.
Or the difference between when the member's ex-spouse dies and when the member deceases.
Yes.
It is the same benefit, it's just the clock is extended because it reverts back to the member, correct?
Correct.
And that, as you said, that will not likely happen in a lot of circumstances.
No, it's very rare. Like I said, it's only happened 3 times in the past 22 years, and we don't expect that to happen a lot. But again, it was a benefit that, per the unions, they felt was
If this benefit reverts back to the member, is the cumulative benefit, that is the benefit the member was receiving plus the alternate payee benefit, does that put the member above what he or she would otherwise get as a benefit?
Go ahead.
It probably does, because we've spread the payment to the alternate payee over the alternate payee's expected life, and since they're usually women and they're usually younger, that benefit now is the same higher amount and is going on to the member. So, most likely, yes. It is not financially neutral to the plan to offer this benefit, if that's the crux of your question, and that's why the board revoked the benefit in the resolution.
But whether we agree or disagree with that proposition, we have an arbitrator's decision. So the choice is either amend the plan or address this to an unfair labor practice.
Right.
Precisely.
Thank you.
Exactly, yeah. Other questions? Great, thank you both very much. Does anyone want to speak on this item? If not, it's an emergency ordinance. Let's take a vote, please.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Novick?
Actually, like the arbitrator's decision, because our previous policy created an incentive for the city to try to break up the marriages of employees and then kill off their former spouses. And although I have no evidence that the city has given into that temptation, I prefer to have that temptation removed entirely. So I'm pleased to vote aye.
Fish?
Aye.
Hales?
Well, we have a group of graduate students who are here job shadowing OMF, and I told them that this morning's council agenda would be relatively tame and relatively ministerial, though there's been some variety in it, but I appreciate them being here in this job shadow day. One of the things, they're all future public administrators, so we want to welcome you and welcome you to the business of public administration. Some of you are already in it. And one of the things about Portland that only gets occasionally noticed, but we get to benefit from in these discussions, is that we're fairly well financially managed, and we have been for a long time. We keep winning awards from folks like GFOA, and we had our outside auditors come here and sit at this table and drop a comprehensive annual financial report on the desk and say we have no issues, and we have a pension system that is balanced and pay as you go, so we have no unfunded pension liability in this city. So when I talk to fellow mayors from around the country and describe our situation, they turn some shade of green with envy, because most cities can't say anything like that. They can't say, that their CAFR looks that good, or that their financial practices are so sound. And in fact, we mentioned Miami-Dade County, there's some folks in jail there for financial malfeasance who used to be public officials, so just to name names. So Portland benefits from really capable management of this particular fund, as well as the rest of them, and that's one of the reasons why this meeting didn't have a lot of people yelling and screaming, because these people do their jobs very well. Thank you. Aye. And we are adjourned for the week.